Let's watch Dilks do his thing. Green mana floating. Okay. Vesuva's a land. Well, Cavern first.
So this is six. Yep.
Because he wants to make sure this is uncounted.
Right.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, that's exactly 6.
So
he's gonna go get
battlements and
battlements and a red source.
Yep.
Attack. It's gonna be way too much. So that's cool.
So this is to go back a little bit before why I think you get into problems when you say things like Modern is supposed to be a turn 4 format.
That was a turn 2 kill.
Right.
That's what you said.
Through an Inquisition.
What? That's true.
Turn 2 through an Inquisition.
Took Azusa. Slow him down. That didn't work so much.
Both teams played hard.
They sure did. They sure did. Hey, I like that I'm starting to get the hang of this Amulet Titan deck. I knew if you drew an Amulet, we were donezo.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Ryan in his sideboard. 3 copies of Aether Gust, 3 Ashiok Dream Render. Those 6 cards are good in this matchup. 2 Battle of the Bridge, 2 Mystical Dispute. We got some one-ups here in Cletus Trader of Getz, Dead of Winter, Dismember, Grafdigger's Cage, and Jace the Mind Sculptor.
As you mentioned at the top there, those top 6. Top billing here. 3 copies of Aether Gust, plenty of targets in Dilks' deck. Good early, good late. 3 copies of Ashiok Dream Render, one of the better sideboard cards in the side that you can have in the sideboard for this matchup in particular. Very hard for Dilks' deck to function through an Ashiok.
Other side of things here for Matty Dilks. He's got 3 Beasts Within, 3 Mystical Dispute, 2 Force of Vigor, 2 Dismember, 2 Aether Gust, an Engineered Explosives, a Reclamation Sage, and a Tireless Tracker.
Probably the 3 copies of Mystical Dispute. Don't know how much you want to do past that. Reclamation Sage, Tireless Tracker, probably fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you just draw like that, you don't really need a sideboard very much, but presumably these games are going to go longer when there's more interaction here coming from Ryan's side of things. Ryan didn't get to do very much there, so I expect the games to be a lot longer than that, though, generally.
Yes, that was about the ceiling there on Dilks' ability to kill quickly. Being able to win on turn 2 through an Inquisition, not a thing a lot of decks in this format can do. Doesn't have to happen. Doesn't happen all that frequently, but that is part of what you're signing up for with the Amulet is the top end of your draw is being basically unbeatable.
You see in the middle there, it's Sultai Delirium against Mono Black Aggro in Pioneer. And then for Standard, we've got Azorius Control in the hands of Andrew Vorel against Will Pulliam playing Jeskai Fires. He's not playing Team of Reclamation this time. That surprised you a little bit?
Yeah, after how dominating of a performance he had last week, you'd assume that you just run it back. But
he didn't lose a match until the finals. All right, we're going to hear a quick message from our friends over at Ultimate Guard. So we do that, then we'll come back and learn a little bit more about Matt Dilks, and then we're going to watch more of Amulet Titan versus Dimir Wurza. Ultimate Guard's 2020 exclusive line now available. You can check that out over at StarCityGames.com, wherever else you do buy your product supplies. As these players will be taking a look at their opening hand here in just a moment. In the meantime, we're about to learn more about... Now, I know you've had a lot of favorites on the SCG Tour in your time of doing this. I'm thinking of Andy Ferguson. That's the first one who comes to mind.
King of the bluff attack.
Yes. Cincinnati's own, if memory serves. I know you're a big Andy Ferguson fan, but we don't see him much anymore. Is Matthew Dilks the top of the food chain for you right now?
I don't even know who's in second. Could not tell you. Burlington, Ontario, Canada, 2019, one of the best seasons in SCG Tour history, with 15 opens played and 8 top 8s with a win. All-time 12 top 8s and a win. Still looking for the first invitational breakthrough, but Dilks, a competitor in the Players' Championship, I think is strung together in the midst of 3 consecutive top 8s, if memory serves.
So he's top 8 at both team opens, got second place in both, and then lost playing for top 8 in Knoxville to Will Pulliam, his teammate. So very close.
One of the best 15-month stretches in SCG Tour history.
Yes.
And no signs of slowing down.
Well, game number 2 about to be underway here between these two players right now. It'll be Ryan on the play here. Our table spotter will give him the green light, and we are underway. It'll be an island in Arkham's Astrolabe, and Ryan will draw a card. We're heading back over to Dilks now. Dilks with a free copy of Once Upon a Time. So let's take a look. Well, we found an amulet in there, but you obviously can't take that. So he's going to take Dryad of the Elysian Grove instead. So the new nymph, which is also an enchantment. You think it'd be creature type Dryad. You're wrong. He is a nymph. There's a Field of the Dead. Pass the turn back is added to Dilks' hand.
Yeah, I would have lost that one.
That's right. Arkham's Astrolabe will allow Ryan to draw another card. There's a Watery Grave in hand. There's also a Mistress Bauble, so we're going to play that free artifact. A lot of material, as you like to say.
Some stuff. It all draws a card.
Sure does. Here's Watery Grave entering the battlefield untapped, so Ryan's going to fall down to 18. And now Bauble's going to take a look at Dilks' top card. Ryan will get a little information there and then pass the turn back. So now Ryan draws a card from the Bauble trigger, and Dilks will draw a Simic Growth Chamber for his turn. Turn 2 here for Dilks. His team off to a 3-1 start. He'll play a Simic Growth Chamber. The trigger there is going to cause him to pick up the copy of Field of the Dead. And Dilks may have to discard here, and he will. He'll be a secure Tribe Scout. So we're heading back over to Ryan AuCoin now. His third turn of this game.
Very slow start here from Dilks, but often it's about setting up a bunch of spells all in one turn to play through one counterspell.
Thoughtseize will show you a Simic Growth Chamber, a Dryad of Elysian Grove, which we know, Mystical Dispute. Actually, let's make it 2 Dryads. The hand where Battlements is already in hand. We know about the Field of the Dead as well. So a weird-looking hand, but you kind of expect that from this Amulet Titan deck. Their hands oftentimes just look pretty strange.
Well, it's going to be loaded up on a lot of 3s and 4s here because if Dilks had any of sort of the early infrastructure, an Amulet, a Tribe Scout he could have played early, we would have seen it already. So not surprising to see his hand, especially post-board, loaded up with a bunch of 3-drops and a little bit of interaction.
Ryan's going to take the Mystical Dispute. There's an island of the snow-covered variety. And Ryan will pass the turn back over to Dilks. Dilks will draw. Handware Battlements is coming out of the box. Way back when they used to play Slayer Stronghold. They've made the change now. Here is the Dryad. Another land drop can occur. We'll see if Dilks wants to go towards another copy of Simic Growth Chamber or Field of the Dead. There's Simic Growth Chamber. Trigger going to pick up the Battlements. And we're going to send it back over to Ryan for his 4th turn. He'll draw a card. This is a Misty Rainforest. And he'll just simply pass the turn back, likely with Whir or Cryptic Command at the ready.
But Cryptic Command is not that bad for Dilks here because he can just play some lands here. With Field of the Dead, he really doesn't have to commit much more to the battlefield to force some sort of action out of AuCoin. Just develop his mana, get into combat. Whir, on the other hand, that could be bad.
And Dryad's going to give some beatdowns here after Dilks plays not 1 but 2 lands. First was the Field of the Dead. Second is the Handware Battlements. Now, you mentioned that Field of the Dead that's on the battlefield, and it is a very powerful card, of course. But it is worth noting that we've only got 3 different land types on the battlefield, though there are 4 lands on the battlefield because 2 of them are Simic Growth Chamber. So some work to be done there with turning on Field of the Dead. In the interim, Ryan's going to play a Whir of Invention and go get Sword of the Meek, step 1, to the 2-piece puzzle of Sword plus Thopter Foundry.
Yeah, and this has been a vulnerability for builds of Amulet Titan for a while. Even though the Thopters themselves don't matter a whole lot if you're kind of doing manual, along with Urza, that's infinite, and Amulet Titan has no way to go over the top, nor are they really flush on ways to break up the combo once it's assembled.
Oh, here's a Thoughtseize, perhaps to clear the way. And Dilks looks like he may have a response. And he will respond with a Once Upon a Time. Teleria West will be the selection.
Teleria West is a great hit here because it is effectively a proxy for a spell that Ryan cannot take with the Thoughtseize.
Mm-hmm. So there you see the hand. Azusa among those cards. We'll see exactly what Ryan does want to select here. The one thing that Dilks is out of is lands, except for that Teleria West that he just found. So Azusa, not particularly good. Probably not worth taking with the Thoughtseize. So Beast Within, headed to the graveyard. One thing that Dilks has obviously done here is he's loaded up on different types of ways to interact with the opponent with Mystical Dispute and Beast Within. That is a...
So that was a Mystic Sanctuary putting back nothing.
Yeah, putting back nothing because there's not 3 untapped islands. Or excuse me, there are 3 islands, but there's not. It's actually just not putting back anything.
Right.
Yeah. They don't have to be untapped.
I think if he's not getting back Warrior of Invention, that means he's already rolled up.
Okay, that makes some sense. Here comes the Dryad.
So Dilks is going to play like AuCoin is about to assemble the combo, especially with the thoughts he's just taking a Beast Within.
Sure, sure. Here comes 3 mana. Dilks, of course, can use these lands to transmute the Teleria West, but he's just going to go towards Titan instead. I'm not sure he's convinced it's going to resolve, but he's already in such a bad spot that he just kind of has to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, AuCoin's signaled so much strength in the last couple of turns that, you know, it might be now or never.
Snow-covered island there off the Misty Rainforest. This will probably be Cryptic. Yep, there's Cryptic Command. Going to counter the Titan. Draw a card, will Ryan. Quick updates there for you in our middle and bottom matches. Aiden Brier down a game to Eric Hymel. Saltide Delirium up right now over Mono Black Aggro. And then Andrew Vorel with Azorius Control and Standard up a game over Will Pulliam. Will is just having difficulty beating the blue-white control deck, no matter what he plays.
Well, I think it's a matter of some debate how bad TMR Reclamation is against blue-white control, but just Skyfire has got to be worse at least game 1. Deck is just not strong against Dovin's Veto.
Yeah. And depending on how many Dovin Vetoes are hanging around that main deck, it can be bad news. And you know they've already got 4 copies of Absorb to take care of Fires of Invention. So that matchup might be pretty tough there for Pulliam. Perhaps he's got some things to bring to the table for the second and third game. We'll have to find out. For now, it's Mystic Sanctuary. It's going to get back Cryptic Command on top of the deck. That card's so powerful. Because now here is a Thopter Foundry, so didn't even need to whir for it. Pass that turn back, Will Ryan over to Dilks. You can see the look on Dilks' face. He knows he's in trouble now. He just has a Dryad and not much else going on. He really needs a Primeval Titan to resolve here.
It's got to be this turn, because after that, Ryan's going to pick up the Cryptic Command on top of his deck. And unless Dilks can find something like 1 copy of Cavern of the Souls or such, it's going to be hard to resolve a Primeval Titan going forward.
There's another copy of the Dryad. A very powerful addition for this deck for sure, but not really flexing its muscles this game is Dryad of the Elysian Grove.
Well, the second copy does not do a whole lot.
Yeah.
And the first copy doesn't do a whole lot either if you don't have that many lands to work with.
Or no amulet.
Right.
Yeah.
or Valakut or just something.
Really anything.
Make it happen.
Yeah, like you said, there's just really nothing going on here with the Dryad that is beneficial here for Dilks. Well, I guess this is easy enough. Going to come in here with the 2-4. Ryan does not appear to be phased, so he's going to take those 2 points of damage. And now your follow-up. Could be transmuting Teleria West. Again, remember, because Dryad of the Elysian Grove is on the battlefield, Handware Battlements still has its text, but can tap for any color of mana as well. So it's going to tap for a blue in combination with Simic Growth Chamber, tapping for a green and a blue, to transmute Teleria West and go get Pact of Negation. Okay.
Well, that's the route to be able to push through a Primeval Titan through one copy of Cryptic Command.
A Thopter Foundry in combination with Sword of the Meek is going to generate a bunch of Thopters and gain Ryan some life. It looks like 4 Thopters, one of which will be wearing the sword, and 4 life will be gained. So Nick Miller has joined the fray on the battlefield. And we're heading back over Ryan's way. We know that Ryan's going to be drawing a copy of Cryptic Command. Everybody knows that. Even Matthew Dilks does. And we also know that Dilks has added a copy of Pact Negation to his hand. And it seems like, at least for right now, advantage Ryan, however.
Yeah, his position's quite good, and he's drawing to a ton as well. Urza is an immediate cinch, and any discard spell, any additional counter spell, it's all strong here.
Here's an attack for 4.
I think that Watery Grave's got to come into play on tap there. One, it's just a Thopter. You get a rebate. You get 50% back in life by making a Thopter.
So what you're saying there is it's only going to cost you 1 life instead of 2.
Also, now Dilks can just Mystical Dispute back on a Cryptic Command.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Well, that's a very good point. If that worked itself into the equation, don't even have to use that blue pack.
Yeah, you don't even have to use the Pact Negation.
Or you can win a counter war with having Mystic Dispute and Pact Negation,
right,
where you couldn't before.
Exactly.
Very good call there, partner. Let's see what this is. That's like a 3rd Dryad. Not ideal there for Dilks.
Yeah, if the second one's not very useful, the third one, even less so.
Yeah. All right, there's Azusa. So plenty of knuckleheads on the battlefield. We're going to get a bunch of Thopters here. Now we're going to go back over to Ryan. Ryan's gained plenty of life, and he can get this game over with in 2 turns, it looks like.
Yeah, not any threat of being killed here on the way back.
And it looks like he just drew a copy of Urza, so he can just go infinite here now.
Yeah, Urza should be a check mark from this spot.
Well, assuming Urza resolves, of course, because Dilks does have Pact Negation in hand.
Yeah, but then
I agree.
Then you get to go hit, untap, hit you.
Yeah, and the game ends. Yeah. I'm with you, because he has to pay for the Pact,
right,
so on and so forth. So Urza, even if it doesn't resolve, I think, as you said, is just a check mark on the game.
Because this hit's going to be for well over half of Dilks' life total.
Yeah, and I'm happy to attack with everything because your life total is so high. And look, you're going to take 7 from the Dryads and the Azusa? Okay, sure. Here is Urza. And this one's done. So, Ryan AuCoin's going to win game number 2 here over Matthew Dilks. We are going to be making a move to Standard now. We want to get our eyes on that match between Will Pulliam and Andrew Vorel. Jeskai fires against Azorius Control. As we jump into this, we got a Robber of the Rich along with a Cavalier of Flame on the battlefield here for Will. Bone Crusher Giant looks like it's on an adventure. We head back over to Andrew's side. It looks like Andrew's about to take his turn. Omen of the Sea. Elspeth Conquers Death on the battlefield. That Elspeth Conquers Death is going to go up to 2 counters. Island just played here for Andrew, and it feels like, at least to me, Andrew's ahead right now.
Robber of the Rich out of the sideboard.
Well, things just got a lot worse here for Will Pulliam, it appears, as Dream Trawler just joined the battlefield.
4 copies of that one in the board.
Brazen Borrower among other cards in hand right now for Will Pulliam. There's a Fabled Passage. That's land number 6. Now here is Brazen Borrower, and let's call it what it is. It's a petty theft that's trying to bounce the Dream Trawler, and Dream Trawler says, well, okay, fine, I don't want to be bounced. I'll discard a card to give myself hexproof, which opens the window for these creatures to attack. So Robber of the Rich and Cavalier of Flame are coming into the red zone. Robber's exiling some cards. This is a pretty big hit.
Yeah, you would love to have something that can keep the Dream Trawler contained for next turn also. But this Elspeth Conquers Death is about to go off here, get Fairy out of the graveyard. Dream Trawler is going to be untapped. A lot coming here on Vorel's next turn.
Now you do see Robber of the Rich there. It's a 2-mana 2/2 Reach Haste Human Archer Rogue. When Robber of the Rich attacks, if defending player has more cards in hand than you, exile the top card of their library. During any turn you attack with a rogue, which Robber of the Rich is, you may cast that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. Well, we've got an update here very quickly, as there is Teferi coming back onto the battlefield with 5 loyalty counters, thanks to Elspeth Conquers Death 3rd chapter. Eric Hymel is going to win his match over Aiden Brier 2-0. So Saltide Delirium, a deck that is picking up in popularity, and 1 Players Tour Brussels in the hands of Yoel Larson defeats Mono Black Aggro 2-0. Now for Vorel, he's going to bounce Cavalier Flame to draw a card. Here comes Dream Trawler.
Good news for Robber of the Rich.
Oh, what's that?
Hand size discrepancy.
Yeah. Robber of the Rich is a card I think a lot of people expected to have a pretty high ceiling. Has not performed as well as people had expected or hoped just yet. Here is Narset.
Shows up a little bit in the red decks. Part of some conversion sideboards. It's not bad. There's just a lot of good cards out there, you know?
Yeah. Narset's going to take a look at the top couple of cards. Omen of the Sea. Is the card that is taken there from Narset. Now we're going to head back over to Will Pulliam. Difficult spot here for Will because he needs to pick up both games now. He's already behind 1.
Yeah, no more losses to give there for Brier, Dilks, and Pulliam. So Pulliam's got to get 2 in a row here, and Dilks has to win game number 3 on the top match to be able to get this one.
Absorb is the reveal.
Mine was blown when I saw that card for the first time.
What's that, Absorb?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool card. Great design. Teferi down. All right, that's step 1 there for Pulliam. Feels like a successful attack step.
It's more of an undermine type of guy myself, but Absorb was mind-blowing.
Well, has the opportunity to play one of these cards. Robber the Rich has done so much attacking here. All right. Going to play Teferi from the Robber of the Rich stash. That's a Dovin's Veto. Well, that's going to work every time. So Dovin's Veto is going to counter the Teferi that Robber the Rich was trying to play. Sacred Foundry is going to end the battlefield untapped here for Will. He's going to fall down to 10, it looks like, and now he's going to try to shatter the sky to kill the Dream Trawler, among other things. And that ends up working. Okay. So the Dream Trawler is taken care of. Now, I wouldn't say that Will's in an advantageous position right now, as here's an Omen of the Sea on the end step, but that was step 1 to, I think, getting back into this game.
Yeah, but his spot's still really rough. You know, the Narset's going to be strong here. Vorel's looking at so many extra cards.
Modern match is still on hold. Yeah, that match doesn't start until this game is over. Got it? Nars is going to take a look at the top handful of cards. Oh, no. That was a miss. I've never seen it happen.
I don't know. It's not like Vorel is that light on cards, you know what I mean?
What do you mean?
No, I'm just saying, you know, still got a stacked hand.
No, his hand is still full.
He's got a card to give.
I don't ever see Narset miss, man.
Oh, no, that's really rare. Really rare.
All right, we're going back to Will the Thrill. He's trying to get himself back into this game. He's got some serious work to be done. Facing the Azorius control opponent who's got a lot of cards at the ready. But he's going to try to fight back. He's going to start with Kenrith, the Returned King. And I think that's going to get absorbed right away. And it will. So that's taken care of. Now he'll play a Sacred Foundry, a Steam Fence untapped. Bone Crusher Giant is no longer on an adventure. It's simply on the battlefield. And we are going to head back over to Andrew Vorel, who's going to actually Mystical Dispute that before passing the turn back. So Vorel's just looking for a way to close it out because he is somewhat ahead here. If he's using counterspells that liberally, and he's tapping 6 mana for Dream Trawler with absorbed mana up.
Yeah, that's the dream state to get to.
I remember in previous standard formats, 9 mana was kind of the sweet spot where you would play Elspeth Sun's Champion and have 3 mana up for a counterspell or a detention sphere. This seems somewhat similar.
Yeah, I mean, once you get, it takes a little while to drag it out to this spot, but once you're here, you can't really lose to damage very easily. It's hard to get out-carded. It's very hard for your opponent to kill a Dream Trawler. It took a while to set up shop. You had to get to 9, but once you're there, your position should be pretty well cemented.
And I think that Andrew Vorel's position is quite good right now, as you did mention. So it's going to be an attempt here from Will at Cavalier of Flame. And that's going to get absorbed too. So that's going to be a no, thank you. And now here's a Bone Crusher Giant. Not convinced that Vorel can get it done in just one attack here, but I also don't think he needs to. He'll draw a card. Here comes Dream Trawler. Draw another card. Going to gain a bunch of life here, Will Vorel, to continue to cement his advantage. And the tough thing here, partner, is it's just very tough, as here's a backup Narset, to get Dream Trawler off the battlefield.
Yeah, it's not clear, what's even the thing that you're hoping to draw to in this spot? I think it has to be a creature because A spell is almost, by definition, not going to be good enough here.
Well, Narset's going to come down. Dovin's Veto is the reveal here. And there's an island for the turn. Here is 5 mana. Well, it's not getting any easier. Elspeth Conquers Death with Dovin Veto mana available. It means that this game is starting to get even more difficult. Now, Robber of the Reach does have reach. Robber of the Rich does have reach. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything.
No, it doesn't. No, it does not. Here is Kenrith, the Return to King, which is a very powerful card with loads of text. And one of those modes is the ability to gain some life.
Mm-hmm.
So, Will Pulliam is not dead yet, as Elspeth Conquers Death and goes up even more. Here comes Dream Trawler. Trigger, draw a card. Gain 5 life to stay alive. And there you see Kenrith using that third ability there. 2 and a white, target player gains 5 life. Now, of course, Will does have the ability to draw cards and so much more. But Elspeth Conquers Death is going to kill Kenrith as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this might be Will's last draw step of the match in just a moment here, as Narset is going to reveal Teferi. Those two love working side by side. There is a Temple of Enlightenment potentially. There is Teferi. Still has Dovin's Veto mana available.
Kind of just spinning the ball on the finger at this point.
More or less. Look, this is Ori's control deck. For many, it's the deck to beat in Standard, and you can see why. And it has been a thorn in Will Pulliam's side last week in the finals, and now again in round number 5 here in Philadelphia. The team of Ryan AuCoin, Eric Hymel, and Andrew Vorel are going to win this match over Matt Dilks, Aiden Brier, and Will Pulliam. A pretty clean sweep there, truth be told. Dilks may have gotten that third game. We'll never know because we never had the opportunity to start it, but for now,